Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. The Chairman of FEA, the Deputy Chairman of the Board, the Acting CEO, Board Member Kamal Gandar, management and various staff of FEA. It gives me much pleasure to be here today. I won't speak for too long, but I can also tell a small story when I approached Mr. Patel. I think we are very, very fortunate to have someone like him on the board, who has enormous commercial experience, but who is, even though he spends quite a bit of time looking after his interests in Australia, I know that his heart is always in Fiji. He probably phones up people more in Fiji than he probably speaks to people in Sydney itself. And we're very lucky to have someone like him, so I'd like to publicly acknowledge that, the Chairman. Ladies and gentlemen, the three objectives that he did state is very much a stated objective of what we want FEA to be like. The reality is that we need to get a lot more Fijians connected to the grid. There are a lot of Fijians who are still unconnected. However, I'm glad to say that probably more Fijians have now been connected in such a short period of time than ever before within that same period. And that is, of course, an achievement. It's an achievement, of course, because of the fact that government has diverted enormous amounts of money into that area. FEA has worked well with us, and of course the staff, those of you actually implementing it. Without your implementation, it cannot happen. We also acknowledge the fact that I'm told about 6,000 kilometers of electrical cables went down in Cyclone Winston. We had people who worked day and night. You had teams from overseas who actually came in and also assisted you. And with your effort, we were able to get all Fijians who had electricity connections actually connected to the grid. Some, of course, had to wait about 2 months. But by all feedback that we have received from many of the international observers, the manner in which the various agencies within Fiji conducted itself was actually quite remarkable. Of course, there are many lessons to be learned from that. And again, I want to publicly acknowledge your effort and the time that you put into ensuring that everybody who had been disconnected actually got reconnected. We also have an aging infrastructure. And as I've continuously said throughout, that in Fiji for decades, right from independence, we've been very good at putting up something new, but we've been terrible at looking after it. And we need to always ensure that we always keep money aside to maintain the property. A lot of people will find it no problem if they build a house, they'll keep aside some money to look after their own house. But that's how we should also view government assets. If government builds a school, if you lay a cable, you must ensure that you look after it. Because if you look after it, you set aside some money for it, you'll continue to get a longer life from it. If you don't look after it, then you'll actually have substantial costs that need to be met. Secondly, we need to ensure that we keep up with technology. And that's one of the things, of course, we've discussed with the Chairman, that we need to continuously build into the FEA infrastructure, both by way of what I call the soft infrastructure, the intellectual output, how you view yourself in the 21st century Fiji. It's very important. As I was, a couple of days ago, I was at FEA. Now at FEA, we were there to actually announce the job evaluation exercise that was carried out, and how people's salaries got changed from different bands, etc. But I did say to them that in Fiji, the ordinary Fijian now has a greater level or highest level of sensitization to what they want is customer service. The example that I gave was, I went to Roop's, the Nakasi new outlet, the whole shopping center in Nakasi. And one of the restaurants that I went to, I think it's the Grace Road one, it's not an expensive restaurant, but you get all sorts of food there. So I went in there, and my wife and my sons wanted to eat. But the level of service that was provided, even if you're buying a very basic dish, even if you're spending $5, are you okay, sir? Have you been served, sir? So the general public's expectation is that they will be served well. So if you have a monopoly on supplying electricity, don't think that they will simply take it from you. They will also expect a level of service from you. They will also expect that you talk to them politely. The same way I'm sure you want to be treated politely if you want a service from somebody else. So that's very, very important. I had very ironically the other day a gentleman who looks after customer service for Water Authority of Fiji. He's the guy who takes all the complaints, the calls. He sent me an email to complain about the government services down here in town. He said the sign said that they had lunch break between 1 and 2. He turned up there at 12:45 and it was already shut. So he knocked on the window and the lady said it's our lunchtime and closed the window. Then he knocked again. He said it's 12:45. It's not 1 p.m. yet. She said, yeah, but because we've been working hard, we can go on early lunch break. You see, so he wrote me an email and he complained about it. And I rang him back. I actually rang him up and I apologized to him. When government services come within, Ministry of Economy. Now, the fact is that lady has to be dealt with. But the point of the matter is that that's the level of service people expect. And the reality is that if we treat our customers well, they'll also respond positively. Even if you have to charge them something extra, if you talk to them nicely, they'll also pay it very gladly. So human psychology. At the same time, of course, we have access to television, refrigeration, etc. There are some Fijians who don't. The simple example that I do give is that, if you connect, say, a villager who catches fish, he's living along the highway and there's no electricity. When he's selling fish by the roadside, if he cannot sell the fish at the end of the day, the fish either goes bad, or he has to eat it himself, or he may undersell the price, the fish, the price at which he sells it at. Or it can go rotten. The moment you connect them with electricity, he buys a cooler or a fridge. If he doesn't sell the fish, they put it in the cooler, next day he'll throw water on it, by the roadside, it's a fresh fish and you'll buy it. That's the reality. You have suddenly improved his level of income. Very simple thing. Same thing with people who are selling vegetables. They don't have electricity, so they can't keep the vegetable. The middleman comes along, I'll buy one sack of beans for $5. And they come and sell each bundle in the market for $2 to you. So if you are able to give them the ability to cool their vegetables, they can get a higher price for it. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are here gathered to make the announcement regarding the profit that FEA has made. The board has decided that because FEA has done well, it's made a higher level of profit, that FEA will do two things. One of them is what they call, you get an annual bonus, as you know. But they have decided to give you another bonus, as in what you call a middle term bonus. And that middle term bonus is to the value of $1.5 million. More importantly, and I believe significantly, ladies and gentlemen, they've also made a decision that that bonus will be shared equally amongst everybody. So there's no distinction between CEO or linesman or receptionist or whatever it is. It's a recognition of the entire team. So from my calculations, from what I've been also informed, that you'll get approximately somewhere between $1,000 to $1,500 with the FNPF, etc. deduction. So all of you will get that same amount, which I think it's a very good example of the board recognizing your effort and your contribution. Of course, there's your normal bonus assessment that will be done. There is also, of course, different to and dissimilar to your individual performance-based adjustments that may need to be made. So it is good news. The other second good news, of course, they've also decided for the first time in FEA's history since its creation that they will finally pay government a dividend. So they have decided we've always given them money. They will for once in their lifetime now pay us. Hopefully it will continue to be an annual event now. They'll pay us a $20 million dividend, which will be paid, we understand, in August. So we'd like to also appreciate the effort of the board. Ladies and gentlemen, sorry. I just want to, just leave you with one message. We really believe this. Fiji has enormous potential to do a lot better than what it is doing. In fact, if you compare where Fiji is today to even 10 years ago is in a lot better space today than it ever was, in a short period of time. But if everybody puts their heads together and we have a focused attention, as opposed to the usual squabbling that takes place, whether it's politicians, whether it's unionists, etc., if we all focus and everybody appreciates that everybody is a team player, we will be able to do phenomenally lot better. 69.4% of the Fijian population today is below the age of 40. They're below the age of 40. So all these people here are in the minority. Most of the young people I can see there at the back, you are in the majority. The beauty about having a younger population is because they have the energy, they have the drive, they have the intellectual input, and they have the longevity. So you're here for a longer stay. So we want to be able to tap into that. In order to be able to tap into that, if you look at any country in the world that has achieved remarkably, a country that's been used as an example is Singapore, they always planned ahead. They always put in place policies that was 5, 10, 15 years down the track. That's what they thought. And that's why today they are extremely successful. And Fiji can be in that space also. If we are able to think long term, do not get duped by short-term thinking or people who are short-term thinkers around you trying to influence that. We must think long-term. If you do that, we'll be tomorrow in a lot better space. We'll be able to have a lot more greater benefits. The living standards of all Fijians will improve. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again for your contribution. As I said, that this is again quite historic as to what has happened today. Once again would like to thank the board chairman, the deputy chair, and of course the rest of the board members, the management team, and all of you for making today a reality. And I wish you a very fantastic year. Thank you. Naka.
Let's have a group photograph.
Before we take any photographs, if there's any media queries, any questions or queries that you'd like to address.
Getting the electricity.
Okay.
Oh, good photo. Smile, everyone. Otherwise, I like.